Hey guys, it's Sunny16 Tarot, and this is a reading on your general well-being this week, especially with Leo and 6 freaking planets. That is so wild. And this collective I'm doing is quite specific, so if you come across this video, if it shows up on your feed and the YouTube algorithm just thinks like what I'm saying here is you, that's pretty interesting. And I know I'm talking about the algorithm, but that's the thing. It's like for some people, it's also the opposite. It's not the algorithm. So let me point that out. We can do a video sometime on debate on how legitimate online tarot is. I personally think it is. Just some people project individual tarot onto it. Anyways, I'm starting to get a thesis, but that's the interesting part. Before I started recording, I got the cards out before recording because I don't have a tripod. So you see why my thing is so shaky. But yeah, what your first card that came out was Page of Swords. And swords, I like to think of as like it's the air element, right? So a lot of words, logic, cold hard facts. At least that's how swords, air, traditional Western tradition, quote unquote, traditional Western astrology describes it as. Do you guys like my movements? I'm such a multitasker. I'm so sorry. I'm feeling so funny and random. Something about you guys is making me like that. Before I was very solemn and serious, but now, so Page of Swords tells me that you may be a writer. And specifically, I feel like you're the kind of person who, I don't want to say kind of person, like there is like a type, there's a demographic of this, and it's not bad to be in a demographic. I just want to describe it as such. So yeah, you seem like the kind of people who are poets, and you're very good at what you do, and you may have dealt with a lot of like a-holes telling you how to write better, and they didn't even pass grade 10 English or something like that, you know? Ooh, ew, I don't like this. There's so many talented feminines, and not even just feminines. I mean femmes, not feminines, like femmes, because queer people, gender queer people, they use femme. And um and if I'm being honest, I love punk rock shows, and but when I do have to go to a show where it's mostly men, there are queer people there, but they're still trying to assimilate to cis culture. And I don't mean that unfairly. I'm not talking about being closeted, and I'm not gonna tell anybody what their gender should be or how to do it. Like I'm queer and I'm not gonna do that because it took RuPaul's Drag Race for me to really be like, I am bisexual. Even though I came out to people when I was 20, I still lied to myself so much. And the interesting thing here is we have the queer tarot. I didn't plan this. Do you know what I'm saying? Like I was like, usually I use Rider Waite. I don't want to say usually, but sometimes you do go to Rider Waite because it has the organic, so to say, meaning of the cards. It's the beginner deck. It's the most trustworthy, I would say. Of course, not that other decks are out to get us, but that, yeah, the yeah, so then I actually connect with my decks, right? As you should as a reader. I don't want to say should, but it's a beautiful thing to do as a tarot reader. And 333 is on the timer. But what I wanted to say here was I was going to use Rider Waite today, and then Rider Waite was personally like, no, you got to use queer tarot. You got to use queer tarot. And also, sorry for this, I forgot to show the actual. This is Ashley Molesso and Chess Needham. Those are the creators of the deck. And yeah, I personally love this deck so much, and we're going to get into it. So some of you may be queer like me, and that's why I wanted to pull this out. And I want to say queer like me, like every queer person, any kind of queer person. But what I wanted to say, can I clarify the punk rock shows thing? Yeah, no, I'm never ever gonna tell someone how to be their gender. I'm just saying there are, like, I've been that person too, where I go, like, where I'm gender non-conforming, but then it's kind of like new for me, so then I'm still like too scared to really be who I want to be. I'm still like, I don't know, you know what I mean? I've learned that I've always been someone who stands up for themselves, but then like some people can read my expressions, my facial expressions if I don't like an offensive joke. And if they would ask me, I wouldn't shy away from that. So maybe I'm not as timid as I thought. But that's not the point. I'm not the point of the reading. I'm just trying to clarify that like no, like yeah, it's just better to be in queer spaces. It's just better to be in mostly women's spaces as long as they're not TERFs. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I don't like transphobia like at all. Like it's really not necessary. And there are people really trying to get into the psychology of it, and it's just so dumb. And okay, maybe I'm yapping because some of you are poets of queer rights. You normalize queer culture, and you know everything you've done to do that. Look, we got Knight of Wands and Page of Wands, and that tells me you're really in a reflective point where you just, I don't know, some of you, this could have happened to y'all. You don't usually write, you don't usually mistake the year in your journal or any time you have to put the date on something. You usually get the year right. Maybe you'll get the number of day wrong, the month wrong. I've had that too where I got the month wrong, but like, but yeah, if you get the year mixed up and whatever year it is, that could be a time for reflection. As in, why am I doing it this way? And it's because spirit, your guides are calling you to look inward from those times, from that year. So there may have been something, a foundational, integral thought you had, and you thought, I want to go back to that year because I was so much better as a person. But I don't think it's that for you guys. It's that there was that thought at some point, and then now that you're doing that slip up of the year, you're um, like, you know what I mean? I already said it. I'm sorry if I'm like a broken record, but that's what that is. And then we got Seven of Pentacles. We had Seven of Pentacles before, but for some reason, Spirit's really making me sporadic in your reading, and I hope you're okay with that. And thankfully, this is a 7-minute long video so far, so it's not totally. I don't know. I hope you guys don't think I'm crazy, but anyways, if you do, that's okay. Like everyone has their experiences, their thoughts, their assessment on things. But we're not going to talk about, but that's interesting. You're assessing. This is what Seven of Pentacles can also mean. Okay, Spirit is telling me it's okay for me to ramble today because it's helping me understand the cards even more, to get to know them better, to get really in depth instead of just the common website meanings I've always seen. Like it's time to actually put things into the context of a situation. And I feel like that's what you need to do as well. So your general being is a very ambitious, hardworking, outspoken, bold type of person who's had to dismiss your own accomplishments because, I don't know, some people, like, I mean, I'm not someone who's gonna say don't talk to your family anymore, but I will still, I'm a big advocate of keep trying to talk to your family, but of course, within my own community, I'm not talking about people who actually been through like, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like the stereotypical ethical stuff. Like, yeah, parents shouldn't cut off their kids financially, no matter what, because you chose to have a child. So you really want to deprive them of money when you don't agree on things. Like, that's too intense. You know, you don't have to agree with your kids on everything. But, anyways, um, yeah, so like financially cutting off people or financially, you know what I mean? Like any of that stuff, or also like just, yeah, anything. But this does seem like you do have some family traumas, and that's why it took you so long to see your worth, and it took you so long to see your value. Never, not that you ever even had to really do anything about your value. You don't have to prove your value. But it's making really good art with Page of Swords. And we have the Hanged Man. See, this is a time to just hang back and relax. The Hanged Man was a card I didn't really like before, but now I'm starting to be like, hey, every tarot card is a sacred message. So the Hanged Man to me is literally being gentle with yourself. In this context, at least, be gentle with yourself. And I think you are starting to do that now. And that's everything for that. that, yeah, you're just being really cool to yourself. You're being a real friend to yourself, and you're actually starting to see how much work you really do. And just because there's not money in it doesn't mean you're a weirdo. But with Seven of Pentacles, let me put it this way. I do see a royalty check for you coming in. Maybe one or two within like the next 2 years. Ooh, okay, okay, okay. And if you are a poet and you are writing a book or something similar, some of you could be zine creators, because Page of Swords is quite punk rock over here, if I'm going to be honest. Like, that's just my superficial view. I don't know the whole fashion. I don't know the history of this piece, like this piece of clothing or anything like that. Just, I really see like a punk rocker. Like, look at the way they're holding the sword as well. That's pretty sick. So it could be magazine writing, it could be poem writing, it could be even a fantasy novel with the sword here. Okay, so a lot of you are writers. I think just anyone here who relates 1111 on the timer is a writer. Dude, 1111. I feel like you need to tell yourself that too. It took me a long time to be like, I am a photographer. So you gotta be like, I am a writer. And I'm not just giving pieces for free anymore. All right, so that's the general part of you. So I'm going to jump on to what's to come moving forward. And I did talk about the royalty checks you'll get, but let's see what else. All right, are we rolling? Hello, hello. What's up, guys? Sorry if I blocked the mic there. Yeah, so this is what's up ahead for you. Let me see the back of the deck, to be honest. Ooh, we got the world at the back of the deck. So this is all positive. And you will get a little bit of messages, but don't overemphasize. Literally, look, Eight of Pentacles and Knight of Swords, don't overlook how much you've done. You really need to sit down and look at how much you've done. And then, like, just let yourself take in the numerous amount of work you've done in the past few years, like for your goals. You know, I'm not just talking about like having a full-time job, you know? It's like, you know, you've been working in some way, shape, or form. There wouldn't be a lot of pentacles in this reading if you were just a couch potato. And even if you were a couch potato, do you know how many people could use Twitch? Do you know how many people could go on YouTube? And yes, people will be like, there's movements in that, so that's not what they mean by couch potato. Sorry, I just wanted my coffee, and it's funny I'm talking about movement as I sip coffee. Oh, okay. So, like, yeah, like, just stop beating yourself up. Dude, look at this. Of course, Spirit is saying, but there's nuances to doubting yourself, so don't be too harsh on the quarantine. No, definitely not. But Spirit wanted to tell me that, oh man, I'm shaking a lot. I usually don't struggle with holding my phone camera like this, you know? Maybe it's just because I really need to get a tripod, guys. I'm so sorry. Alright, I'm just gonna let this pass because it seems like you need to... Another deep breath. By the way, there's no right or wrong way to take deep breaths, just whatever is in capacity of you, like whatever is your capacity, you know what I'm saying? So breathe in as much as you want and breathe out as much as you want. But do also think any anxieties you have, breathe. Like, okay, think of puppies. Breathe in the puppies. Breathe out the BS. Whatever is weighing you down. And I know, like, I don't know, if I'm being honest, some people could be like, deep breath exercises don't do anything. And no, not really, but it does depend on what you're shown, to be honest. And I'm not going to doubt professionals, people that go to school, people that read, people that, you know what I'm saying? Like, please don't disrespect professionals. But also, don't but also to professionals, they shouldn't disrespect what's actually going on in the system by pretending it's not really happening. So, yeah, see nuances. Spirit is like, okay, point out the collective nuances, so they feel very heard. So that's what it is. I feel like some people are being so hard on you and you just want to express yourself. And interestingly, there's no, oh, there's 10 of cups. You're getting anxiety expressing your emotions even though you are such a king telling other people off. Like you are those people who think like, "Oh, maybe I should have said it more nice and then I would have gotten what I needed in the end." But if I'm being honest, you have known some weird and rude and disrespectful people. Bruh, that's gonna make me cry. Because I've been there and, ugh, ugh. Yeah, so the Death in Ten of Pentacles tells me it's all uphill from here, even when you're sad. And it's okay to be sad. It's okay to worry and cry, and just don't let the worry get you. And I know that's easier said than done. I'm so sorry, it's so shaky. Just be like me, you know? I could be anxious and not make any video today, or I could just pass this on to you because it might make you feel better, you know? And I'm not trying to say you should feel better after watching my video. I'm just saying, why don't I take a chance? Because I know there's someone out there with this energy that could really, really use this. A random YouTube video with like 6 subscribers so far. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. If this shows up for you, it really was meant for you. That's what I'm gonna say. That's what I'm gonna say. That's everything. That's literally everything I got for you. Thank you so much for watching. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye.